There's a version of pain that never shows up on an x-ray. No cut, no bruise, nothing a doctor could point to and name. But somehow your chest tightens, your stomach drops. Some nights it feels harder to just breathe normally. And you start asking yourself a question you can't quite answer. What is actually happening inside me right now? Because this doesn't feel like sadness. Sadness is quiet. This feels louder than that. This feels like your body is bracing for something, the way it would before a fall. Think about the last time emotional pain hit you. Maybe it was a breakup. Maybe it was someone pulling away without explanation. Maybe it was just realizing quietly that a relationship had already ended long before anyone said the words out loud. You checked your phone more than usual that week, not because you expected anything. You just needed to check. You reread old messages, searching for a version of them that made more sense than the silence you were sitting in now. You heard a song in a grocery store and had to stop walking for a second. Maybe you found yourself scrolling back through old photos at midnight, studying a face you already knew by heart, looking for some detail you'd missed the first 100 times. Maybe you drove past a place you used to go together and your hands tightened on the wheel before you even understood why. Small, ordinary moments suddenly loaded with weight they never used to carry. None of that was weakness. That was your nervous system doing exactly what it was built to do. Here's what most people never get told. Emotional pain and physical pain are processed in strikingly similar regions of the brain. Researchers have found that the same neural pathways involved in physical injury light up during experiences of social rejection and emotional loss. Your brain isn't being dramatic when heartbreak feels physical. It's using the oldest alarm system it has, because for most of human history, being cut off from other people wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. For thousands of years, connection meant survival. A person left alone outside the group didn't just feel lonely, they were exposed, unprotected, more likely to not make it through the season. So the brain evolved a warning system for disconnection that feels just as urgent as a warning system for physical harm. That system didn't get the memo that we live in a different world now. It still treats a silent phone the way it once treated an empty campfire circle. It still treats being left on read the way it once treated being left behind on a trail. The setting has changed completely. The alarm hasn't updated at all. And this is where something most people misunderstand starts to make sense. You're not overreacting. When losing someone feels unbearable, your brain is running code that's thousands of years old, code that was written to protect you, now firing off in a modern life where losing someone doesn't threaten your survival. It just feels like it does. But here's what most people never notice. It's not actually the person you're grieving in those late night moments. It's the absence of a pattern your brain got used to relying on. Think about it. Your brain isn't just remembering their face. It's remembering the small, predictable rhythms, the good morning text, the sound of their laugh through a phone speaker, the version of your day that included checking in with them. Psychologists describe this as a disruption to an internalized routine, and the brain doesn't let go of routines easily. It treats them like a resource. Losing one feels like losing safety itself. That's why the pain doesn't leave all at once. It leaves in pieces at random moments whenever your brain reaches for the pattern and finds nothing there instead. There's another layer underneath all of this that most people never connect to their own heartbreak. Psychologists studying attachment describe how closeness with another person gradually becomes tied to the brain's reward system, the same system involved in anticipation and craving. That's part of why a reply from the right person can feel like relief flooding through your whole body, and why it's silence from that same person can feel like something is physically missing. It's not weakness, it's chemistry doing exactly what it evolved to do, attaching itself to a person the same way it once attached itself to anything that kept you safe and fed. So when that person disappears, your brain isn't just losing a relationship. In a very real sense, it's losing a source it had learned to depend on for regulation. That's why the ache, suck can feel so disproportionate to people watching from the outside. They see a breakup. Your body is going through something closer to withdrawal. You'll be driving, thinking about something unrelated, and suddenly a street sign or a familiar turn brings the whole feeling back. That's not your imagination working against you. That's called reminiscence. And it's one of the most well-documented parts of how memory and emotion are linked in the brain. If you've ever stayed up at night replaying conversations that never actually happened, defending yourself to someone who wasn't even in the room, imagining what you'd say if they finally reached out, you're not broken. You're human. If you've ever felt pain like that and quietly wondered if something was wrong with you, consider staying for the rest of this. This is the part most people never get told, and it changes how the rest of this makes sense. Here's the part that surprises most people. The brain doesn't actually process emotional pain as an event. It processes it as a prediction error. You built an expectation quietly over time that this person would be there. Every text back, every plan made, every small consistency reinforced that expectation until your brain stopped questioning it. So when they leave or pull away or simply stop being who you thought they were, your brain isn't just sad. It's confused. It's trying to update a model of reality that took months, maybe years to build. That's why closure feels so necessary, even when it changes nothing. It's not really about getting answers from them. It's about giving your own brain permission to stop searching for a version of events that makes sense. And that's also why time works, even when it feels like it never will. Every day that passes without the expected pattern, your brain slowly rewrites the prediction, not by force, not by decision, just by repetition, the same way it learned the pattern in the first place. This is usually the part where people expect to hear that you should just move on or that everything happens for a reason. But that's not what this is about. What actually changes things is much quieter than that. It's the moment you stop asking why they didn't stay and start noticing that you did. You stayed present through something that genuinely hurt. You kept getting up, kept going to work, kept showing up for people who needed you, even while carrying something heavy that no one else could see. That's not something psychology fully explains. That's just something worth sitting with for a second. Think about how many mornings you woke up with that heaviness already sitting on your chest and still made coffee, still answered a message from someone who needed you, still did the small, unremarkable things that keep a life running. Nobody applauds that. Nobody's supposed to, but it's real and it matters even if the only person who knows how much it cost you is you. The pain you're feeling isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that your brain formed a real connection, treated it as something worth protecting, and is now doing the slow, unglamorous work of adjusting to a world without it. You don't have to rush that. You don't have to perform being okay for anyone. You just have to let the process happen the way it's designed to, one ordinary day at a time, until the ache that used to live in your chest quietly becomes something you carry instead of something that carries you. And maybe that's the answer to the question you started with. It was never really a mystery why this hurts so much. It's because somewhere along the way, without meaning to, you let someone matter. And your brain, in its own imperfect way, is still trying to protect that.